Hello and welcome to the 2010 Villagers podcast, episode 11. Now, as you can probably see already, we're in a little bit of different circumstances this week. We're not sat in my kitchen with all the usual decorations. Obviously, we are now back in lockdown. And to be honest, even if we weren't in lockdown, we'd be in tier 2, so we'd probably be having to do this anyway. But we're going to persist and carry on with the podcast for all our millions of viewers who depend on it every week. Joined as always by Ash Walker and Jack Salt. Unfortunately, remotely this evening, but they're here nonetheless. So, how are you doing, lads? And how was day one of lockdown?
Well, I don't think I left my bed once, Sam. So yeah, it's gone pretty well, to be honest.
I've been working, so it's business as usual.
Yeah, I'm working, but working from home, which never is good. So yeah, we thought that. Well, obviously this week is going to be sort of like a normal episode because we've got things to discuss. And then through lockdown, which fingers crossed, Boris is only for the 4 weeks of November and we get back to Ferriby as soon as possible. So yeah,
we're going to see you in July.
Yeah, I know. And we'll be 5th on points per game. Let's not shout that too loudly.
God, don't shout that too loudly, for God's sake.
League conspiracy. It's Boris that likes us, does he?
No, he doesn't. He watches the show, but he doesn't like us.
You know, and he's Ferriby are now 5th on PPG. Let's have a lockdown.
We're all at home. We're all there. We're all sticking to what you say. Now, do us a nice one.
We're not going to talk about Saturday's pants that we're planning.
No. Don't say
that. Anyway, we are going to be on air still each week. We've got some specials planned. We've got a special, a memory lane special, some of the best ever moments like as we can remember in the 10 years at Ferriby. We're also going to do top 10 moments, for the 10 years. And possibly a feature on away grounds, our favourite and least favourite away grounds between the three of us. I'm sure that'll be very interesting, that one. And some very opinionated views on certain places, I'm sure.
No, not from us. Not from us, never.
Definitely not from you.
No. I think you already know where I'm going to put in one of the top 5.
But we'll start, as always, with the news. So as everyone knows, the big piece of news is lockdown. We're back in lockdown, day 1 today. So we hope it's only going to be till the 2nd of December. Obviously, this lockdown means that Ferriby is now suspended for the foreseeable future, as is all non-elite football. So what do we think, lads? What do we think for the impacts on the Counties League as a whole? How are we going to reorganise this? And do you think that Ferriby will be back on the weekend of the 5th and 6th of December, or do you think
the 5th of December? Yeah, well, we're due to play Selby at home on the 5th of December. So, I mean, who knows if we'll be back for that? I personally think we will. I think Boris will stick to his word, and it'll just be 28 days. I can see Ash shaking his head. But yeah, I mean, for the Counties League as a whole, it's a month's fixtures that need rearranging. But we've not just got that. We've got FA Vars fixtures, which obviously affect ourselves. It was meant to be. When was it meant to be? I think it was meant to be like the 28th of November or something earlier than that. Might have been the 18th. But yeah, so the FA have got all those to fit in. So when Matt Jones, bless him, is going to fit all those fixtures in for all of the Northern Counties teams, we don't know. But yeah, it's going to be a tough time for a lot of county sides. Obviously, a lack of income now coming in. Obviously, because there's no games happening, so there's no income coming in. Tough for ourselves as well. We're right up there struggling with a loss of income. Obviously, we was having 300 fans every week, which obviously would have helped us massively carrying on. But if Boris does what he says he does and he keeps it to 28 days, we'll be back in no time.
If it's 28 days, I'll eat my hat.
Yeah.
There's no way. I'm sorry. There's no way, in my opinion. We're back. Start of December. January, maybe, is what I'd look at. I know I'm sounding very negative here, but got to be realistic with a few things, and I think 4 weeks is a very, very short amount of time, especially with the lags in data and all that. I'm not going to sound like an expert on COVID.
I'm going to say, without sounding like Fiona Bruce on Question Time, do you really think that he's going to the country's going to be locked down over Christmas? Is that what you're saying?
No, I just don't think he'll allow sport back.
But there's no evidence of sport causing any sort of COVID problems.
There's loads of evidence of schools causing COVID problems. They're still open. So, you know my opinion on this government. This government is pretty useless. So, you know, I'll be very happy if I'm watching us play Selby on the 5th. And if we are, I will apologise to the people of Emley that week. If we're not, I can shove their apology up their ass. I won't do it till when it's necessary.
Can I just intervene here and say, if you hear any loud banging, we're filming this on bonfire night, so there's people being very disrespectful and having their fireworks and having their big fireworks displays. So yeah, if you can hear any loud noises, it's them, not something happening next door in our houses.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But yeah, Jack, you were saying about rearranging all the fixtures. Obviously, we would have had 5 or 6 games in November. Yeah. Obviously, we should have played Tuesday night as well, and that was also called off. That could have been played, but it was called off because of Rossington having COVID problems. So it's going to be a lot to squeeze in. And after we've been talking recently in these recent weeks about playing every Tuesday, obviously at some stage later in the year, we thought, Ferriby have got a load of games played. We'll have maybe having full weeks rest come the end of the season, but I'm guessing that's definitely not going to be the case now when they're going to have to fit these 5 or 6 games in somewhere.
Keep your Thursdays free.
Yeah, Walker's right, to be fair. Yeah, keep your Thursdays free. But to be honest, Sam, we've said this to each other. I don't think this lockdown's actually coming at a bad time for Ferriby. I mean, obviously we won at Wythenshawe on Saturday, which everybody was elated with. Yeah, big spoiler. And we're in a good run of form at the minute if you take out the Winterton game. So yeah, games-wise, probably wasn't a good time, but fitness-wise for us, we've played. You say, we're going to have to be cramming all these games in at the end of the season, and we've played a lot more than a few people. So you've got to argue and say that this is a great time for us to get rested up, get injured players back. We saw on Saturday we didn't have Eastie or Kirky. Gives them a great chance to get back for when we restart again. And all those who were just like suffering from niggles, like Tillo's having niggles with his calves and stuff. Everybody's having niggles because we've played a lot of football. So a bit of a break won't hurt them at all. But yeah, I'm sure they'll be raring to go back up. Hopefully, fingers crossed, as we said in December.
Well, let's hope so. What we will do now is hand over to Jeff to round up the last few games that did manage to get squeezed in, concluding last night before the lockdown. So it's over to you.
Not only did they get squeezed in terms of lockdown, they only just got squeezed in time for this podcast. They've just been written down, haven't they, the scores? Dronfield 2, this is Tuesday. Dronfield 2, Hall Road 3. Glasshoughton 7, East Hull 0. That's something about wheels falling off buses.
Oh, dear.
I don't really want to do that. Swollen S1, Retford 2. That's Tuesday. Moving to Wednesday. Brig 1, Wesborough 1. 8-goal thriller at Campion 3, Amthorpe 5, and Nostell 4, Parkgate 0.
This league, honestly,
it's mad. I mean, there's quite a lot of get your head around it. There's quite a lot of talking points there. I'll start briefly with our two sort of neighbours and say that was a brilliant comeback win for Hall Road, 2-0 down very late on. And came back and won 3-2. So that was a great way for them to end before lockdown.
Joe Dale was playing, that's why.
It was. He didn't get on the score sheet, but he was playing. And obviously the other one is that East Goal got absolutely battered at Glasshoughton. Now, we were commenting the other night when we were at football together that can you just imagine the quality, or should I say lack of, in that game on that pitch after some very bad weather?
120 odd people there, 120 odd people decided to go to Glasselton and watch that level of football. Those two teams.
I'm glad we didn't decide to do it.
Well, but fair play to Glasselton.
Yeah, it's a great win
for them. It's a good win, but I think when we were saying the first couple of weeks of the season, fair play to Eastall have made a good start. I think it's fair to say that they're back down at their level again.
Glasselton, Nathan Pex has gone back there, so I'd expect to see them shooting up the table now.
Yeah, glad we've got our trip there out the way.
I'd expect to see them flying up the table.
And then the other thing to talk about a bit close to home for Ferriby in terms of promotion ambitions is the fact that Brig and Campion dropped points again. Campion getting beat at home by Armthorpe, which I think makes that 3 defeats in the last 4 for Campion. And Brig also dropping points in what was a perfectly winnable home game on paper.
They dropped points on Saturday as well.
Dropped points on Saturday, yeah. So, but Campion have lost the last 2 while Ferriby haven't been playing any league games, and Brig are dropping points as well. So it's all falling into play really for Ferriby and Emley and probably Winterton. The fact that the 2 other teams that are probably going to be up and around there, I'd say maybe 5 teams fighting for 4 spots, is that 2 of them have sort of shot themselves in the foot over the last 3 or 4 days before lockdown.
Yeah, it's a weird one, really. I mean, Campion, we was there at Campion, so we can see that they are a good side. Just it makes you think, did that game against us sort of like knock them off their pedestal almost? I mean, they were flying when they played us, and this is not being biased. This is a fact. We absolutely schooled them, and it just shows since then they've only won 1 game in 3. I mean, Saturday they lost to Parkgate as well. Parkgate again. But this just shows the weirdness of this league. Parkgate on Saturday can beat Campion. I think it was 5-4. They were 5-3 down as well. And I'm pretty sure they were 3-2 down, I think. And the fact that Parkgate then go to Nostell and get beat 4-0.
Hang on. This is a Nostell who said they're going to be promotion contenders 2 weeks ago. Yes.
I didn't say that.
Well, you couldn't get, your head out of their ass, and he fucking, your head was that far up their ass after we played them, mate. It was the top 4 contenders. Jesus Christ, the way you was talking about them, you'd have thought there'd been fucking Harlem Globetrotters had turned up.
I think you're exaggerating slightly.
I think you're very much exaggerating.
I will just ask you what's your thoughts on the exploits recently at Campion and Brig?
Well, we've sat here and said we're glad the season's having a pause. Campion are probably saying the same thing.
Oh, 100%.
Even though they are still top. I'm looking at the table now, they're still top. And Brig are probably thinking, nice rest as well. All the teams are thinking it, a nice rest. All the teams with Selby. You've got to feel sorry for Selby.
I do.
Well, they're going to be playing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every bloody day when it comes.
I'm sure I saw this earlier. There's a team in the Premier League, the Northern Counties Premier, has only played 5 games.
Well, Lower Breck, who we're playing in the FA Vars, which we'll come on to, have only played 3 games.
Hang on. Staveley Miners Welfare have only played 4 games in the Northern Counties. There are teams that have played 11 in that league.
Yeah.
That's mad. But that's what's going to happen with COVID. So, obviously, that's the roundup of the last few games that got squeezed in before lockdown. It's tightened things right up at the top again, and it means that Ferriby would go above Campion should they win their games in hand on Campion now. So, yeah, Jack just stole the thunder there a little bit, but the final bit of news is that we've drawn Lower... Is it Lower Beck? Lower Breck?
I think it's Lower Breck.
Lower Breck.
Because you put Beck, and I did have to check just in case.
Right. As in Ready Breck.
Yeah, so it's Lower Breck. Again, the FA, I think, are expecting Ferriby to knock out the entire Northwest region on their own in the FA Vars because it's our 4th straight draw against a Northwest team because they're from Liverpool, from very close to Anfield Stadium, apparently. another team that started off the season well in their league, but as Jack said, they've only played 3 games. They've won all 3.
Last night. They played last night and they won. So 4 from 4.
4 from 4, are they? And they knocked Newton Aycliffe out in the last round of the Vars, which in fairness is a good result. It was in Liverpool.
And one of those games sorry, Sam, one of the games that they've played in the league was against St Helens, who we played in. I think it was the very first round of the Vars that we played.
And what did I refer to them as? What did I refer to them as? The worst team I've ever seen us play.
St Helens, they beat St Helens 8-0. So they seem like a good side.
I think the big factor here, though, is that unlike Wythenshawe, it's at home.
I can go.
Yes, you can go. So that's a big advantage for us. I think we've come through 2 massive tests in the last 2 rounds of the Vars, and I'm going to end up looking like an idiot here, but I think this might be a round off is the wrong phrase. But what I'm trying to say is I think this is going to be a lot easier task for us as a game than a Northwich Victoria or travelling to somewhere like Wythenshawe like we did at the weekend. I think this is reward for us getting past Wythenshawe, and I'm pretty confident that whenever it does get played at the Dransfield, we will make it one step further in the Vars, as we are currently charging our way towards Wembley, with this being the last 128 this round.
Wow.
How many bloody clubs are in this?
I know. It's mad, isn't it?
Can I just interject here? We've got nothing to be afraid of, right? These are our level. We've got nothing to be afraid of.
No.
We've nothing to be afraid of. We're at home. These are our level. I'm pretty confident myself. I won't refer to them as what I have referred to them as in the past, just because I don't think that'd be very fair to publicise that.
But I would be leaning on being more confident than unconfident, simply due to the fact that we're at home. I fancy us to beat anybody at home. Yes, Winston beat us. Yes, big whoop. But I still fancy to beat anybody at home. So it'll be a nice tie. The boys will be looking forward to it. Whatever the hell it'll get played, nobody knows. Hopefully, some point this side of December. But who knows? Who knows? It'll be a good tie. It'll be a great tie. 300 fans at the Dransfield again. I'm almost sure of it. So it'll be a great one when it's played.
That's if the council let us.
Oh, yeah.
God, yeah, there's that as well. We didn't even mention that because it sort of got swept under the carpet by the national lockdown. But obviously, we were absolutely fuming on Friday night when that news came out.
Well, East Hull played at home and they had fans in. So I just think it was a problem with Brid.
I think it was a problem with a certain stadium, yes, and some people panicking that maybe shouldn't have been panicking, but I won't say anything
maybe
about
they found Brid Rebels ejaculate on the picture of Little Mix in the bar.
God. Oh, dear. You never change, do you?
No, well, I'm not with you guys now. I feel like I can say more.
Never change, Ash. Never
Anyway.
Change.
Moving swiftly on.
Yes, very swiftly.
And obviously, I will just say that hopefully, if we do come back, and Boris is saying he wants it to come back in the tiered system, that the East Riding Council grow a pair of balls and allow fans into grounds, because we would have been the only council area in the country that weren't allowing fans in. So we will now talk about a game where fans were allowed in, and funnily enough, it was in Tier 3 and fans were still allowed in. So God knows what the East Riding Council think they're fucking playing at.
Can you put an asterisk on that? Home fans were allowed.
Okay, home fans were, but that was the point, Ash. They were saying that no fans at all in East Riding, and we were only in Tier 2. So, but anyway, yes, home fans were allowed in to Wythenshawe on Saturday. Now, this is where I have to say a great deal of thanks to the chairman, Les Hare, for allowing me to travel with the team. I was on press duties, did the match report and everything in the stead of Mark Chesney this week. So thanks to Mark and Les. Obviously, Jack, you were there anyway and would have been as the social media manager. So we travelled with the team. Obviously, it was a very weird day, different circumstances. Everyone who wasn't a player or coaching staff basically stayed on the coach till 5 to 3. Just went in the ground as the teams were walking out. Didn't really use any facilities in the ground. Obviously, the bar was closed. and like you say, only locals were allowed in. So it was, and getting temperature checked and everything. So yeah, it was a very different day, but a remarkable one in many ways. Yet another typically Ferriby game where it's just one of the most memorable games in a long, long time. Again, we seem to say this every week, but a game of two halves. The first half, Wythenshawe absolutely battered Ferriby. We didn't look like we were on the same pitch as them. They were quicker than us, and they deservedly led 2-0 at half time. In my opinion, could have been more if not for a brilliant save from Jordan Douglas. But then the second half, superb. Obviously, the comeback and everything, which we'll dig into in more detail. But obviously, we came back, got it back to 2-2, and ended up going through on penalties thanks to more heroics from Jordan Douglas. So it was, and obviously everyone was absolutely delighted at the end. So that's a little bit of a breakdown of the day as a whole. But yeah, fantastic for us to get through, especially from 2-0 down at half time. So what was your take on it, Jack?
Yeah, it was a fairly weird day. Obviously, always nice when you can get a close trip somewhere. Nice to have all the players and all the staff together. Yeah, like you say, Sam, we got there. We sort of stopped on the coach for a bit. Just there was nothing for us to do. There was no bar, so I was like, "Oh, we'll just stop on the coach." Like I said, we went in a couple of minutes to kick off, and then kick-off happened, and within I think it was about 20 minutes, we was 2-0 down, and it was like, "Whoa, what's happened here?" We almost didn't start. I mean, the first goal. Yeah, you could probably say Levi was beaten too easily down the right-hand side, but it's a brilliant cross and a brilliant finish. There was absolutely nothing that Dougie could have done about it. And the second goal, Levi, he'll admit this fully himself, just stood there with his arm up and had a penalty given against him, quite rightly so.
I mean, it wouldn't have even been controversial on VAR, would it, that one? No, it was Stonewall.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, unluckily, Dougie couldn't save it. But yeah, that was sort of the first half, and I said to the vice chairman, Glenn Riminson, I said we've had a bit of first half syndrome this year. We've had a bit of second half syndrome this year, as we've seen, especially early season. I wonder if we've changed it now to first half syndrome, and how right
after one game. Come on.
And how right was I might add. Yeah, second half, we were outstanding. Every person, second half, was at least an 8 out of 10. TC getting his goal. Wow, what a header. Just we were stood on the far side, Sam, weren't we? And it just seemed like took for ages to go in. So it just looped over the keeper, and we was like, oh my God, is this going to go in? Is he going to save it? Is he going to hit the bar? But yeah, obviously first, Lee Hutch scored. Great cross from Danny Buttle, who was fantastic off the bench again. Great cross from Butts. Great header from, was it a header? It was a header.
It was a header at the back post.
Header at the back post, from Lee Hutch. And then we saw the Tom Corner goal, and then it was sort of, could we sneak another one before the final whistle? But also, could they sneak another one? But obviously, neither team did, and it went to penalties. I'm not going to give a running commentary of the penalties. The most important thing is that Jordan Douglas saved 2 penalties and won us the game. And quite frankly, the celebrations after that were quite spectacular. We had a great bus ride home. But yeah, it was an amazing day, and just amazing for us to go into a place like that, which I know is a bit controversial, but it wasn't the nicest of places. One of the nicest of places to go. I wouldn't want to go back. So yeah, to come out of there with the 3 points and a bit of the bragging rights was really good. I said the 3 points. Go through to the next round. I mean, was really good.
Yeah, it was. You're right. It's the type of ground that you're absolutely delighted to come away from with a win, and you don't want to rush back to any time in the future.
You've just described many places in this league.
Well, yes, I have, in fairness. But yeah, it was pretty, if you can, if anyone's ever watched Shameless and that sort of estate around there, that's sort of what I'm talking about. Just to break down into the game a little bit, we've talked about the first half. It wasn't great. second half, I think a few people made a real difference. You've mentioned Hutch. I thought he offers us something so different when he plays. Obviously, we haven't got him on the pitch as much as we would have liked to this season. But when he came in, and obviously we're in a little bit of, we were stretched for numbers as we discussed last week with the injuries and everything. But he was fantastic, especially second half. Scored a quality goal. Ewan Healy, I thought was superb in the second half. He ran that midfield.
Man of the match.
Yeah, he was mine. He absolutely bossed it. And you got to look at the bench. I mean, you've mentioned Buttle, obviously put the assist for Hutch. Josh Dennett on the other side had barely been on the pitch about 90 seconds, I think he'd been on. And obviously, Wythenshawe had absolutely no idea what was about to happen when he went and leant his back on the barrier at the edge of the pitch, came forward and launched that missile into the box that TC headed in. They obviously didn't have a clue that was coming, and that is such a weapon for us. He was good. He was good when he came on, and a big rap to Gary Bradshaw. I mean, the absolute, the all-time record scorer, and he's getting towards the end of his career, but absolutely superb when he came on. He was a nuisance. He caused them problems. He showed a little bit of pace as well. In fairness to him, had a couple of little half chances.
It was one of those games that Brad has loved.
Yeah, yeah, and it was a little bit of a shame that Bradshaw obviously had the chance to win it in the normal penalty shootout with Ferriby with the 5th penalty, and unfortunately he had it saved. So then the heroics fell on Dougie's shoulders. But yeah, he played really well. And then obviously one you got to mention is Jordan Douglas. Obviously he got his chance. He's made a superb save at 2-0. That if that goes in, it's good night.
Oh.
We would have been going out if that had gone in. And then obviously he didn't have a lot to do second half because we played so well. But then in the penalties, he's obviously saved 2 penalties, which is all you can ask of any goalkeeper in any penalty shootout. So a lot to go over there. But I think some real good performances, like obviously second half onwards.
Yeah, I mean 100%. I mean the second half was one of the best second halves we've played all season. Yeah, that's true. But yeah. The penalties, I just want to pay a bit of attention to the penalties in particular. I thought the majority of ours, barring Gary Bradshaw's and Danny Everton's that just snuck in, were actually very good penalties. They were really calm, really composed. I thought he was very good at Loz to score his penalty after the abuse that he was receiving all game about his Barnett. But yeah, all the penalties were fantastic, and apart from Brothers. But Dougie saved the first penalty, saved the last penalty. I mean, what more can you say from him? He's not really had much of a chance this year.
The middle one.
Always the critic.
Joking, obviously, I'm joking.
He hasn't had much of a chance this year, but when he has, fair play to him. He's shown that he's quite capable of playing in goal for us. And it was nice for him to have a nice moment on Saturday. And I spoke to Lewis Exall as well after the game, and he said, it was so good to see him have a moment like that. They had a good embrace for quite a while, and it just shows what a tight squad we've got and how tight those two are between themselves, even though there's a huge competition for that number 1 spot.
I'll bring you in, Ash. Obviously, unfortunately, you weren't there.
Well, can I just say congratulations to a certain Twitter person, Wythenshawe's Twitter man. Great job on the updates. Really love following them. Ferriby ones were crap. I don't know who does them.
I agree.
I'm joking, Salt. Many Ferriby fans, I was sat glued to my phone, on the Twitter, especially with the penalties. But go on in, Sam.
What I was going to ask you was, what did you think? Obviously, seeing that result with the team that Ferriby had out, especially when you saw the score at half time, and what do you think that says about Ferriby as a team this year? Because let's face it, we had a lot of adversity going into Saturday. We were away from home against a team in red hot form. We had 2 of our best players out injured, and we were 2-0 down at half time. So what do you think what was your overall take on the result, and like I say, what that says about Ferriby at the moment?
Well, it says what we've said about the team for a while, that they've got great character. There's a good camaraderie in that dressing room, and when the going gets tough, the team seems to pull together and pull through it, which is a sign of a very, very good football team. And again, it's a great result against a team that's a very good side. And it's just, like I keep saying, we're back. We're back. We're in the national spotlight soon. We're back. And this is just a first step of many on the way to Wembley.
Hopefully. On the way to meeting Trash Tag United in the final.
Trash Tag United, yeah. Those plastic bastards won't know what to hit them. But no, it just shows the great togetherness of that squad. It's one of them. You see turning at our time, you think, oh dear. But then actually you don't, because you think they've always got it in them. Well, the second halves haven't been our strong point, regardless of what Jack said about us being a second half team. No, I'm still going to dispute that, so I'll go to my grave. Until,
I think this one was, obviously, it was different. There was only really one team in it in the second half. They didn't really know what had hit them. And in fairness, a few Wythenshawe people said to us, Jack, didn't they? Fair play to you. That's a great comeback. Yeah. You played really well second half, and we did. It was a very good game actually at this level, because I thought Wythenshawe were a very good side. I wouldn't be surprised if Wythenshawe win that league that they're in or come very close to it, because you can see why they're going to hammer teams.
Yeah.
They had so much pace up front. They were a dangerous side. So we did really, really well. Obviously, I've got to give a lot of credit to Chris Boulder as well. I mean, he won't mind me saying that we could hear him stripping the paint off the walls at half time. He went mad. And he obviously got through to them, because the second half was night and day from the first, and they got through, and it was brilliant. It's a great day for the club, great day for Les, everyone involved. And we've now got this home game to look forward to, which is the reward we wanted. We just have no idea when it's going to be played, but that's one of those things. But yeah, it was a very, very good day, and another historic one for North Ferriby FC. We've had a couple of great wins in this Vars run already this year, so let's hope that carries on. So we'll move on. We've got an update on the forfeits. Now, obviously, we can't put any money in. Well, I could put money in the tin tonight because it lives here, but I ain't got any cash, so I'm not going to this week. But
the one week I get money, I'm ready.
What I will say to you is that you could just send me a bank transfer and I'll draw it out and put it in for you, Ash, if you were that desperate to pay.
Yeah.
But
anyway, I want it to be seen in person.
Right. Okay. Just an update. All our players together have cost us £95 so far this season, which over 12 or 13 games is very good actually. It's projecting going to be a big amount of money by the end of the year, and obviously some players have been starting to match it as well. Tom Corner did the other day. We've had bits and pieces from other players as well, so that's really good. That's pots building up nicely. Obviously it cost me a little bit with the Hutch scoring on Saturday, and obviously as
you
always,
cannot be moaning about it costing you a little.
I'm not moaning, because I was just going to say
3 months.
I was just going to say, as always, he didn't even score on Saturday, but Jamie Forrester still made sure that Ash was digging in his pocket with an absolutely dreadful challenge in the second half that resulted in a yellow card.
I've got £95. I'm sure 60 of it's mine.
That's not true. I think about 35 of it might be yours. So in fairness, you are suffering, Ash. I will admit that. But yeah, it's been a great start, and we to be fair, we enjoy it because it adds some little bit extra to the games as well, for us, and a bit of banter between us all and everything. But yes, the leader so far this year and costing the most money so far has been Jamie Forrester with £14.
Keep it up, Jamie.
Closely followed by Danny East, which costs all three of us, remember, at £12. Obviously, a lot of that was contributed by his red card at Harrogate. And then I believe it was Tom Corner and Scott Phillips on £10. Obviously, Scott Phillips no longer around, and we are trying to negotiate with James to get him another player.
Has he put his £2 from Tuesday yet?
No, he hasn't yet. No. Next up is Super 6. And talking of the Chesneys, after 10 rounds, the leader is still Mark Chesney.
For God's sake, come on, people. Knock him off the top.
He is top on 38. We then have Dan Tomlinson and Pete Fleming, better known as Eastall Pete, on 37 each. So 1 point behind. And then in third, we have Matthew Kempson on 36. But it is quite tight up and around there. You know, there's still not that many points really between top and bottom. It's been an action-packed first 10 weeks. Obviously, we've suffered a bit recently with postponements and things, but we're doing our best. So yeah, if the season did end now, God forbid, then Mark Chesney would be the winner. But let's hope it doesn't, and we carry on. But yeah, I will send out an update to everyone at some point this week, because obviously we've had a nice round figure of 10 games now, so we can give you another update as I did after 5 rounds. So I'll show you the full league table. Right. So next item on the list, I believe we're not doing memory lane tonight because
I've run out of time sorting teams out. So Microsoft teams out. I ran out of time.
I was gonna dig you out there, Ash, and say because we're doing a special on it next week, but you've just shot yourself there.
Listen,
so well
done. I believe honesty is the best policy. You know, I'm not Donald Trump. I'm going to sit there and, you know, speak the truth about things. And it was one of those tonight where I forgot about memory lane, to be honest. I forgot it existed.
Useless.
But then, you know, like we said, Sam, next week will be a bumper edition of memory lane.
Right. Okay. Well, we've got another game to discuss that isn't Ferriby, but we'll leave that till after this. We'll go with your quiz first, if you've got one.
Well, listen, I've just explained how you've been prepped with this. So, I believe it was Bruce Forsyth who hosted The Price is Right, where you had to guess the card, wasn't it, or something? I'll play your cards right, that was it.
Let's play your cards right.
Let's play your cards right, where you actually say the card is going to be higher or lower.
Okay.
Now,
I've played a drinking game about higher or lower as well. That never ends well.
I think all of us have some.
Well, as I was late, back.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Took him out of trouble again.
It has. And the game is higher or lower, right? And I'm going to name 2 players. And I'm going to say before I name the players what the criteria is. It might be more goals, who played more games, or who scored more cup goals. They're the 3 categories.
Okay. This will be good.
So it's all on that season. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 2 players. Okay, and I want you to write down who you think scored most goals in the 2012-13 season. So you ready?
Yeah.
Who scored more goals in the 2012-13 season? Liam King or Russell Fry?
Is this in the whole season, as in league and cup?
League.
Just the league.
Just the league for this. League.
Tell me when you want my answer.
I'll wait for Sam to be ready. Go on.
Are we turning them round?
Go on, show me.
If you could see that.
Well done, both of you. It's 1-1.
I'll move the light a bit closer.
What was the stats on that then?
Liam King got 9. Russell Fry got 2. This one's a bit closer. Matt Gray or Ryan Williams? These are league goals again. League goals. Matt Gray or Ryan Williams?
Now, is this a trick question? Or...
Would I do that to you?
All right, ready.
Go on then.
Ready.
Now, I could have tricked you here, and you haven't fallen because it was Ryan Williams. He scored 4. Matt Gray scored 2.
Right, so it's closer than you think then.
Right then. Who played more league games? Nathan Pete or Greg Anderson?
Oh. That's hard, that. Right.
So I'm ready.
Yeah.
Go on, show me. You're both incorrect.
Oh,
it's not even close. Nathan Peake played 41 games for us. Greg Anderson, 30.
Wow.
Ready for this one?
Go on.
Rob Uhill or Tim Taylor?
Oh, God.
It's close. Rob Uhill.
More games?
Yeah, more games again. Rob Uhill or Tim Taylor?
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Go on.
You ready?
Yeah. Tim Taylor played no league games.
Oh!
Rob Uhill, 2.
For God's sake.
Next one. Cup goals.
Right,
goals
I'm
in
on
the
the
cups.
paper now.
Okay, that's fine. Goals in the cup. Now, for one of these players I'm about to read, out of the 4 that I will read, I had to check it because I couldn't believe it. Gary Bradshaw or Chris Boulder?
In the cup.
Gary Bradshaw or Chris Boulder? Who scored more goals in the cup?
Is that all cups or the FA Cup or what?
All cups. All cups together. Senior Cup, League Cup, FA Cup.
Right, I'm ready.
We won the League Cup that year, didn't we?
The County Cup as well.
One sec. Right, I'm ready.
Sure, mate. Well, you've both gone for different people, which means one of you is now in the league. Chris Boulder scored 4 goals in the cup.
Bradshaw.
Gary Bradshaw, it's not even close. Gary Bradshaw scored 17 goals in the cup.
Wow.
He did score, let me find it, 4 against Sheffield FC. He scored against Blythe in the cup. He scored 2 in the Senior Cup final. He scored his overhead kick against Farsley. He scored against Ossett Albion. The man just scores goals in the cup. So this is your last chance to pull it back. Who scored more goals in the cup? Anthony Wilson or Ollie Banks?
Wow. Ollie Banks.
Anthony Wilson or Ollie Banks?
This could be a trick question again. No, actually. Right, just one sec. Right, I'm ready.
On, show me. Okay. I can tell you, Anthony Wilson scored 2.
For God's sake.
Ollie Banks, 5.
Yes!
So 4-2 to Sam Salt. You've been battered.
I wouldn't call 4-2 a battle.
5. I remember him scoring a couple against Sheffield FC.
Let me find out who he scored him against. Keep talking while I find out. But yeah, well done, Sam.
Right, so 4-2.
4-2 to you, Sam, yeah.
Right, okay.
Also for me again.
So that's yeah. Although in fairness,
Sam, he scored a hat trick against Hesel Rangers. 1 against Sheffield FC. He must have got another one somewhere.
Oh dear.
Eastwood in the Dudson Cup.
Right, okay.
Bradshaw scored 4 in that game.
Right. Well, I'll take that victory. Hopefully we'll first of a few quizzes we're going to be in, boys. Hopefully our mate Sam Matterface brings his quiz back for lockdown.
We could always do a 27 Villagers quiz.
Yeah, we might have a think about that. We may do.
I can host it. It could be Bradley Walsh.
Oh God. Is he the best quizmaster you can think of?
Bruce Forsyth, I mentioned him earlier.
I'd go more Warwick Davis.
A bit too tall for Warwick Davis.
Right. Before we wrap up with our thoughts on the season so far, something we do need to mention is the fact that obviously Ferriby was off against Rossington, so we sneaked a game in while we could before lockdown, just to keep ourselves sane, really. It was a great night, mainly because the Sky Bet price boost came in for me. But anyway, we went to Barton to see how Scotty got on in his debut. Didn't go great for the lad, did it? Considering that they got battered 5-0 by Yorkshire Amateur, who I have to say are one of the best teams I've seen at this level. I haven't watched a great amount of Counties League football, mainly because Ferriby never used to play Counties League football, but Yorkshire Amy's very good side. It was a very good game of football, actually, from both teams. I mean, Barton were outclassed, but they were trying to play football.
They started well, didn't they?
They did.
Well, yeah.
But the second half, especially Yorkshire Amateur, was superb. It was a great game to watch, and some of the finishing from them was quality.
Yeah, it was. Well, if that's the level we've got to be at next season, then, we've seen it now. We know what we need to be. But, yeah, one hell of a football team. The football they played was outstanding. The level of play they've got is outstanding as well for that level. And talking of Warwick Davis, I now have a new favourite player. They're number 3. That big one, eh?
He was about 3'6".
What a football player he was. He was tiny. But
a couple of times he took Scott Phillips tried to take him on and didn't get much change out of him, did he?
No. But the thing that game taught me, and we've talked about it since, we talked about it at the time, was how much better the quality of football is at that level. It feels like football.
We said that, didn't we? It feels like we're back watching football again rather than glorified Sunday League, which is what it sometimes feels like at our level.
100%. Yeah, I mean, Yorkshire Armies were fantastic. We've got the likes of Casey Stewart, Adam Priestley. I mean, yeah, they were just exceptional, especially the second half. They were clinical, to say the least. And yeah, Barton and the defence just couldn't handle them.
No, they couldn't. Obviously, we saw a few ex-Ferriby in Barton's team. Nathan Pete still going strong. Taron Hare.
You say strong.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, and obviously Scotty Phillips making his debut, memorable debut with 5-0 defeat. But yeah, I think it's fair to say we won't be playing Yorkshire Amateur next season should we go up, I wouldn't have thought, because I don't think they'll be in that league going on that performance. But yeah, it was good to get a last game of football in before the lockdown. And one thing we do have to mention and give a plug to is the best... He's losing signal, is Ash. So his internet's never normally the best, but he's managed this much. We may have lost him for the rest of this, but we'll carry on, Jack. There wasn't much left anyway. Just to say a shout out to Taz's Fish Bar. And if you do live over that side of the river, please use it during lockdown. Sorry, we're just laughing at Ash because he's just completely lost it.
He's just messaged in the group chat that he can't hear us.
Oh, right, okay. Well, we're just... We'll soldier on without him for now.
Who doesn't love technical difficulties?
But what we will say, Jack, is that with the type of football that Ferriby like to play, should we get promoted, I would feel more confident in that league than I do in this league.
Oh, yeah, 100%. That is a league of teams that like to play football, not of teams that like to hoof the ball, which we've come unstuck by. I think we will if we go up, touch wood, obviously. But yeah, I think we'll fare fairly well in that league. I mean, we're a team, Chris Boulder's a manager that really likes to get the ball down and play. And we saw from Yorkshire Amateurs last night how they like to get the ball down right back from the goalkeeper and play out from the back. I don't think he did one long goal kick last night with the Yorkshire Amateurs keeper. But yeah, overall, they were a great side. And yeah, they'll be a force to be reckoned with in that league. For Barton, I wouldn't be too discredited. I don't know what the word is. Too downbeat from it. They were just beaten by a better side on the night. So yeah, they look like they've got the basis of being a decent side. They've got a couple of good players in there. They've got Taryn Hare in there, who's fantastic. And yeah, Barton will be just fine. But Yorkshire Rammies are a great team, and they'll be doing very well.
Yeah, like I say, it does sort of whet your appetite a little bit for if we can get out of this league eventually, hopefully the end of this season. It will be really good for us, because it was a genuinely decent game of football. Obviously, the last genuinely decent game of football we're going to watch for a while now. Just before we end, Jack, just give me how you would sum up the season so far for Ferriby, and then I'll give my take at the end.
I think if we were going to give the side a mark out of 10 so far for the season, I'd probably give them about a 7.5. I think it's been a very good season so far. We're obviously doing well. We're obviously in that top 4, which is mightily important for us. But there's improvements there, and we've seen the signs of that this side can improve. And I really, really do think we will improve. And I think come the end of the season, I think we will be in that top 4. Where in that top 4 will be, I don't know. But yeah, I would. So far, we've had a few good games. We've had a few poor games. I mean, we saw Winston last Tuesday night. We've had a few poor performances so far this season. But if you flip that on its head, we've had some fantastic performances this season. Look at the performance at Campion. Look at the second half performance at Wythenshawe. And the likes of that, the first half performance at Glasshoughton. We were fantastic. And if we can keep putting in 90-minute performances like we did at Campion, then we'll be absolutely fine. And I think we will enjoy a really good second half to the season.
Yeah, I've got to agree with a lot of what you say. Obviously, it hasn't been perfect, but it's been a very promising start to the season, I would say. I think it didn't start great away from home, but we've started to turn that round, definitely. Yeah. We had a little bit of a setback against Winterton at home, who again beat us. But they're a very good side, and it was one of those nights. But then we've also had highlights like the win at Campion in the league. And my particular highlight of the season so far has been the run in the Vars. 2 superb. St Helens was just a walkover. They were absolute garbage. But Northwich and Wythenshawe has been 2 brilliant games for Ferriby. I've loved the spirit at the club through all of this. I've absolutely loved it. Having 300 there every game, and everyone doing the bit and putting the money behind the bar and in the food thing, and just helping the club, and as people are doing all over the country, in fairness, for their non-league clubs. So yeah, I've loved that. I've loved just being able to be there, and obviously it's going to be a difficult few weeks for us, having to go back to watching Premier League football again. But yeah, I think there's a lot more to come from this Ferriby side, as we keep saying. As like you said, we can get all our players back fit now, and hopefully have a real push on in the league when we come back, and really show that we are the best side in this league, because I think we are on our day, definitely, and I think we will get promoted come the end of it, and I'd love to see how far we can go in the Vars. So I've really enjoyed it so far. I've enjoyed doing this podcast. It's kept us all sane, to be honest, and we're going to try and carry it on through lockdown. We'll try and fix Ash's computer for next week. I mean, it worked for the first 3 quarters of the show, so I'm sure we could sort something out. So yeah, just all it remains to say is, chins up, everyone. It's going to be difficult. We've got to try and get through it, and hopefully it's the start of December and we can all get back to football and doing the things we love again. Stay safe and everything, and we will be back through this lockdown with a few specials, we'll see what ideas we can come up with. So I'll say goodbye to Jack. I would say goodbye to Ash as well, but he's not there. So
he's messaging. What's the message going to say, do we think? It's not come through yet. I'm going to see if you can see it.
I don't know what he's doing.
What is he doing? Are you messaging us, Ash?
No,
Speak from the grave.
He's tweeting.
Think the government have caught up with my analysis of their competency when on the 27 Villages podcast. I've been silenced. Well, what better way to end is all I can say.
No, thanks as always, Jack, and I'll see you next week.
You certainly will.
Good night.
Bye.